Hello everyone, I am here with a Bible study for tonight. Tonight we are going to be in Matthew chapter 5, and I have one circle of kindness. Ain't done one in so long it seems, forgot what we call it. One circle of kindness we're going to do there. They come in sets of 3. And in chapter 5, we're going to be talking about the Beatitudes, salt and light, the fulfillment of the law, murder, adultery, divorce, oaths, an eye for an eye, and talking about love for enemies. And then at the end of the Bible study tonight, we'll talk about the verses we're supposed to be remembering. We're just going to go over there one time tonight to see if you guys remembered them. Okay, so Matthew chapter 5 verses 15, 16, and 17 says, "Nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. And in the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." Amen. All right, so let me read Matthew chapter 5 for you guys. Starting with the Beatitudes. Now when he saw the crowds, Jesus, he went up on the mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him, and he began to teach them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you." That's right, they did, and killed them as well. That's included in persecuting. Don't forget that. Now, when we're talking about the salt and the light, that's not, that's not meaning, what you think it means. You'll see. Because you're thinking, what does salt and light have to do with anything? You'll see. You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled by men. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl, because what would happen to it? They weren't electric back then, remember? It would have been like a candle or like a kerosene lamp, so to speak, that with fire. So if it was put under a bowl, it would go out. So that's what would happen if it was put under a bowl. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven. Now, the fulfillment of the law. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them, Jesus said. I tell you the truth, until heaven and earth disappear, not the smallest letter, not the least stroke of a pen will by any means disappear from the law until everything is accomplished. Anyone who breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever practices and teaches these commands will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you that unless your righteousness surpasses that of the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, you will certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven. Now you know the struggles Jesus had with the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, or better yet, the struggles they had with him. So if you're a good person and you do what's right, you do what Jesus wants you to do, and if you don't act like the teachers of the law, which if you act like Jesus and not the teachers of the law, it's not going to be hard. It's not a hard thing to do. You do it the right way if you act like Jesus, and it's not a hard thing to do. The hard thing to do would be acting like the teachers of the law, having to put on an act all the time, having to have the best places in the synagogues, always putting on an act for everybody, always wanting the best of everything to look good for everybody. That's putting on an act all the time, always having to look a certain way and act a certain way. But if you are that way already, if you're already good, you won't have to put on an act. You're already a good person and you do good things. So there's no act to put on. You don't have to worry about being caught not in your act. You know what I mean? So it doesn't take much not to be better than the teachers of the law there. Okay, now we're going to talk about murder. You have heard that it was said to people long ago, do not murder. And anyone who murders will be subject to judgment. But I tell you that anyone who is angry with his brother will be subject to judgment. Again, anyone who says to his brother, Raca, is answerable to the Sanhedrin. But anyone who says, you fool, will be in danger of the fire of hell. Therefore, if you are offering your gift at the altar, and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. First, go and be reconciled to your brother, then come and offer your gift. Settle matters quickly with your adversary, who is taking you to court. Do it while you are still with him on the way, or he may hand you over to the judge, and the judge may hand you over to the officer, and you may be thrown into prison. I tell you the truth, you will not get out until you have paid the last penny. Adultery. You have heard that it was said, do not commit adultery. But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to sin, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to go into hell. Divorce. It has been said, anyone who divorces his wife must give her a certificate of divorce. But I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife except for marital unfaithfulness, causes her to become an adulteress, and anyone who marries the divorced woman commits adultery. Oaths. Again, you have heard that it was said to the people long ago, "Do not break your oath, but keep the oaths you have made to the Lord." But I tell you, do not swear at all, either by heaven, for it is God's throne, or by the earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great King. And do not swear by the head, for you cannot make even one hair white or black. Simply let your yes be yes and your no, no. Anything beyond this comes from the evil one, comes from Satan. An eye for an eye. You have heard that it was said, eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If someone strikes you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. And if someone wants to sue you and take your tunic, let him have your cloak as well. If someone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles. Give to the one who asks you, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. Love for enemies. You have heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be sons of your Father in heaven. He causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that? And if you greet only your brothers, what are you doing more than others? Do not even pagans do that? Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. All right, guys, and that was Matthew chapter 5. Okay, now what we're going to do is read the devotion now. At different times in my life, I've made myself smaller in a futile attempt to fit in, to not irritate others, and to remain invisible. Hiding my light has been exhausting and ineffective, and I see now, didn't glorify God. It's taken me 50 years to see that my self-protection was all about me. Bottom line, it's not about me. It's about him. It's not about my glory. It's about his. It's not about what I can do. It's about what he can do in me and through me. Okay, so how do I get out of God's way? How do I remove the basket? I can only do this by forgetting myself, by following the old adage to not think less of myself, but think of myself less. And forgetting myself only comes with self-centeredness, is pressed out of me by failure, by hurt, and even by the eventual disappointment of so-called success. There is exquisite freedom in being myself, freely and trusting that the light of Jesus shines through me without my trying so hard. And that one is by Isabella Yosico, and she has written some before. All right. Okay, the homework that is asking if you want to do it, sit down and shamelessly list the ways in which you are or could be a light. List your qualities. Are you in God's way, either in pride or shame? Ask for help tossing the basket. All right, so there's that. The next Bible study is going to be in the book of John. Okay, so now I'm going to read The Circle of Kindness. The first one is by Eddie Thomas from Washington. It was thrilling to be part of the Act of Kindness train. One day, I picked up food for 3 people at a fast food restaurant drive-thru. When I pulled up to the pay window, the girl smiled and told me my order was paid for by the driver of the car in front of me. I was so happy that I decided to pay it forward by paying for the car behind me. Her smile got bigger, and she excitedly told me that the last 10 cars had done the same thing. It was thrilling to be part of the Act of Kindness train, and I smiled the rest of the day thinking about how many people ended up doing the same thing. That was nice. Okay, and the next one is by Vicki Kennedy of Texas. No act of kindness is ever too small. One morning at Starbucks, I was attempting to add creamer to my coffee, but nothing much was coming out. The man next to me noticed and asked if the container was empty. I nodded, then watched as he took the carafe to be refilled. He stood at the counter waiting to be noticed, so I sat down at a table thinking I'd add creamer later. A few moments later, he surprised me by coming over and pouring creamer into my cup. I thanked him, and he went on his way, but I will never forget his caring gesture. No act of kindness is ever too small. All right. And the last one is by Susan Carbone from Goodyear, Arizona. My hope is that they know how grateful I am for their help. When I was 10, my brother and I were riding home with a family friend when we were involved in a serious collision. My brother and I were injured, but not seriously. When the ambulances arrived, they had to take the most critically injured, so we had to wait. But then a couple ran over and put us into their car and drove us to the hospital. They even waited there until our parents arrived, but left without sharing their names. My hope is that they know how grateful I still am. All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoyed the Bible study today. Remember the next Bible studies in the book of John. And before we go, what does Philippians 4:13 say? I can do all things through him who gives me strength. And what about Hebrews 13:8? Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And Proverbs 17:17, a friend loves at all times. So don't forget to keep practicing those verses. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night, and I hope you guys have a great night's sleep. Good night, guys.